Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Jasmine, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Well, thank you for having me, Guillaume.
It is my pleasure. So, besides taking you to amazing places in the south of France, what originally pulled you into strategy and advisory work at the CEO and board level, Jasmine?
Well, it goes way back when I was doing my PhD, and my dissertation is on actually governance and strategic planning and group decision making. So I got to work naturally with a lot of boards of directors and continue doing that, guiding strategic planning sessions. And also in my executive roles, I've been in leadership roles. So when I decided to focus on my advisory practice full time, it was a very, very natural progression.
What's the core problem that you're solving now? Like, what is it that you help people achieve?
I help organizations become higher performance entities to help them scale. And as a Gallup-Certified Strengths Coach, I also make sure that they can build high performance teams. So between my strategy background and Gallup certification and working with people, having taught social psychology at the university level at Northeastern University for 4 years, I bridged the academic and applied business expertise to help organizations really scale and innovate and really put the right people in the right seats and perform better, right? Very often you can have a person who is a great person, but their performance may not be optimal because they're in the wrong seat. I've had that on my team too. When I was at a major German multinational company with over 3 billion of revenue leading their Americas marketing, we had hired a young person on the marketing side of the business, and inside sales also reported to me, who was frankly terrible, interviewed way better, but could not write a sentence. And you cannot correct the whole failure of the US educational system as an employer. But there was something in me that said that this person might be a good person, is just in the wrong seat. So when we transferred the person to the inside sales side, while he was an F- in marketing, suddenly he became an A+ on the inside sales side because he had customer service background. That was his sweet spot. It spoke to his strengths. And it made the world of difference. So very often people have teams that are not optimally positioned.
So we have a few things: scale and innovate, perform better, put the right people in the right seats. I mean, what's the silver lining here? What is all this allowing companies that you help achieve at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, each business is there to kind of make money because resources help them also provide livelihood for the people. One of the things people forget, the ultimate achievement of any business, no matter what they're doing, what they're bringing to the marketplace, they're also supporting their team members, their families of their team members, right? It creates livelihood for society. It makes society better that way because it creates stability. It creates ability for people to transact. It helps the economy grow. It's this interconnected universe. So it's not just the one thing you're promoting. Organizations then have a bigger mandate. And now, again, fundamentally, not many people talk about is ultimately, no matter what the business does, the biggest benefit they bring is to their team members providing their livelihood.
It's interesting that in a day and age where everybody talks about AI and probably the first $1 billion solo companies that are going to pop up, the thing that you put the focus on is people. I like that.
Without people, no business or enterprise can succeed, AI or no AI. I mean, I use AI myself, and it brings a lot of benefits. It's like I have an AI assistant in essence, right? But AI, again, it's the input, garbage in, garbage out. You also have to be educated yourself to be able to discern the wheat from chaff. You have to know when AI is hallucinating or not. You have to have the research skills to go validate what the AI is saying. So it's way more complicated. Fundamentally, you still need people. It's just the roles of people might evolve, but that has always been the case since time immemorial. We talk about the Industrial Revolution, but even before then, when it was farming communities, roles have constantly evolved. People have learned new things. New jobs have come that did not exist before. So it's not about eliminating people, it's about maximizing people. And it's about the mindset, how we approach our resources and people.
I like that. Do you have a specific type of company that you help, Jasmine? I mean, you mentioned the $3 billion slash euros German company. Today, like, do you have a specific ICP, specific decision maker? Who is it that you're helping typically?
Fundamentally, well, I'm able to work with a company of any size, from a startup to a multi-billion-dollar company. It's usually the mid-size, mature, small size and mid-size companies that are the better target market, because they're still flexible enough, they're still shaping themselves enough, and they're in a position where they can really benefit a lot from our help. Because very often they get stuck in doing things a certain way. Sometimes, and I do not think of myself in any way as a consultant. I'm more of a partner for the business. I come in with the outsider's perspective. I'm not stuck in any preconceived notions. And that really helps, because very often when we're in the same thing, we all lose perspective as humans. But coming in from the outsider's views, think of it as like the side mirrors on a car. We all develop blind spots, and you need the side mirror to tell you where your blind spots might be.
So I like that. Who is because we're going to talk about marketing, right? This is also a bit your bread and butter. What I like about marketing is that it starts with the person, the very thing that we started this interview with, which is good. But for that, you need to almost know their problems, then their pain points and their desired outcomes better than they are, knowing that. So for you, who is it that you're targeting specifically, Jasmine? Like, who's the decision maker that you want to get into a room with so that you can be like, yeah, I can help you guys?
CEOs, board members, there are SVPs, VPs who are really empowered and have authority. Anyone with authority to make decisions, and anybody with a vision. Because if somebody is very myopic and they don't think they need any change, then they're going to be stuck. Nothing will convince them. So mindset is a huge factor with the people you work with, right? So you need visionary leaders that believe that they have to constantly be in motion, in movement, innovate, and look at things sometimes very differently. That's where it makes a difference. If somebody is stuck and they have all the answers, they might as well talk to a wall. What difference will it make?
So how do you approach that? Because that's an interesting point. Do you get them in terms of mindset, right? Do you get the people who are kind of stuck on, I'm the best, I don't need any help whatsoever? Do you get them to change mindsets, or do you only focus on the part of the market that knows that they need change and they need someone to help them?
Well, you started out by saying problems that they do not even know that they have. And that's a very important thing. Throughout my work, I've always discovered that a lot of the time people have no idea what problems they actually have. And very often it has to be a sense of joint discovery, right? It's not about me telling them or talking at them. It's about discovery, understanding. And sometimes there may be things happening that are so under the surface that most people have no visibility into. Inefficiencies, ineffective approaches, lack of certain systems. And then not all systems are created good either, right? They may have a system that's actually hurting them. Very often people say this is our system, but if it's an ineffective system, you have to break it and create something new. So very often it's not just the lack of system. Not every system is good. You have to have something that's really unique to that business. Also, what differentiates say the approach that Strategy Arc takes, that we take at Strategy Arc versus other big consulting firms. We do not come in with a single approach. We take that boutique approach. We try to understand what a person's needs are. This is very much akin to, I'll tell you, even though, for instance, I've been vice president of marketing in a number of organizations, I've never done the same job in two places, because each time you have to tailor the role to the culture of the organization, to the needs of the organization, to the maturity level of the organization. It's a huge mistake that a lot of CEOs, hiring managers, recruiters make when they think, oh, I'll take this person from this company, put them here, and they'll succeed. And most of the time they actually won't. Because if you're expecting them to repeat something that they did someplace else, it's not going to work. You have to understand the context from within, right? Everything is a system of sorts. An organization is a culture, is a system. You have to try to understand it from within rather than copy what a competitor is doing. Because you know what? You also don't know exactly how well it's working for the competitor. You may look at outward signs, but they might be misleading.
Amen to that. So what has worked for you then? How do you get the attention of those people, Jasmine? How do you get them to be like raising their hands and going, yeah, I need to talk to you, Jasmine, because we need help here? What has worked for you?
Ideally in marketing, and this is what I've been doing for a long time, is inbound. Having people come to you because you're the authority on that, right? Because you've established your reputation. In marketing, we talk about brand building, but these days it's also as much about the brand of anyone. And again, I don't view myself as a consultant, but rather a partner for the business, because each time it's a form of partnership. It's an advisory role. It's also hands-on. Anything I recommend when I leave any engagement, it's with delivery of results rather than somebody was talking about a big consulting firm, how they spent $3 million and in the end were left with a lot of wasted time and a PowerPoint presentation, which then really did not accomplish much for them. Whereas work we do leaves very actionable results and outcomes. So that makes a world of difference. And ideally, they come to us rather than us chasing them.
So that's said every business owner ever, right? You want people to come to you ideally, because when you're in position of that puts you in a certain position of strength, because then you get to decide who you work with, what you charge, and so on. I think that eventually comes, right? People wanting to work with you more than you have capacity. Yeah. So can you tell us how to get there though? What has worked for you to generate that inbound flow of leads, of people who want to potentially work with you? Has it been purely referrals because of exceptional work delivered? Is it content? Is it that you're speaking at conferences? Is it because you're talking to awesome French people on podcasts? What has it been for you, Jasmine?
I'm sure that talking to French people on podcasts helps, right?
Right.
For sure. No, but it's about being present and building your brand. I'm a huge believer in also building a portfolio career and being visible. I have been on LinkedIn for a very long time, and I've been one of the originally very active people on LinkedIn. You have to build your presence. You have to build your reputation. And also you have to stretch yourself as well. I'm never sitting on my laurels. I'm constantly learning, improving, thriving, and be a connector. Very often also help people without expecting something in return. And then they keep coming to you, right? If you turn at in the US, and I know that a lot of other languages do not even have the word in that sense, like networking. I know Italian does not. A lot of people will come to me sometimes on LinkedIn even and say, well, I now need to network. And, I usually keep my mouth shut. But the thought is, if you need to network now, it's too late. First of all, if you're networking to get something in return, that's not how people's relationships work. You have to proactively build value in the community. And view LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. It's a phenomenal platform. And it's a huge community. So you have to build value, help others. Will everybody help you back? No, but then random other people will help you back. It creates this positive momentum. right? So that's what makes a difference. Like, be present, be available. Don't just think to get something. You give more than you take, and that if everybody did that, the universe would be a far better place.
I like that philosophy. So I'm gonna push back a tiny bit on one small thing, Jasmine.
Go ahead.
So I agree with you that if you are in business for a while now and you're just realizing that you needed to network or that you needed to put content, well, the best time to realize that was 10 years ago, but the second best time is today. So
Exactly.
I don't want people listening to us going like, oh, shoot, I didn't do that. Now it's like I'm cooked.
I agree with you that no pushback on that. Fundamentally, it's never too late to start.
Right. So how would you go? Let's maybe get there. How would you go about building a network now, building content now for B2B coaches and consultants? And the funny part is that it's not necessarily for people starting out. It's just for people who've been, like many, I talk to a lot of them, relying on referrals first and foremost their entire career. And in 2026, they realize that they need a brand, they need exposure, they need content out there. You have so much experience in marketing. What would you recommend them do?
Well, first of all, be present, have the courage to show up. Woody Allen once said ages ago that 80% of success is in showing up, right? And I advise a lot of leaders too on their LinkedIn presence. And it amazes me how trepidatious people are about posting there. There is a sense of something they say that it has to have pearls of wisdom. It doesn't. Just be present, just show up. And you know what? The more you start posting, the more comfortable you'll feel. Have an opinion, express it. Sometimes don't be afraid to say something controversial, right? Don't just be agreeing, because you need to carve out what your reputation is. You need to have a voice, have an authentic voice. Don't just be a mini-me. And then today, AI makes writing so easy, but it's like my brain has already developed a filter when I look at a post and I see, oh, was this written by AI or not? So insert yourself in there. Even if AI helps you, then customize it so it does sound authentic rather than the same regurgitated phrases. But just be present, show up, give yourself a challenge. Start with 2 posts a week. And then maybe you can graduate to 3. Comment on people's posts. You'll be surprised how commenting really helps. That way, again, you're building reputation, you're building connections, you're getting noticed. I've had comments that have had over 100,000 views. That's reach. All of a sudden, people who have not thought of you. And then be clear about what it is that you're doing and talk about it.
Amen to that. So I'm going to double down on one thing that you just said here. It's funny, we had a conversation around exactly this in the mastermind of last week around coaches and consultants. We go and publish on LinkedIn and expect leads to just come. So first of all, there is a lot of noise out there. Anybody can claim anything on internet. It has never been easier to regurgitate some AI content. A huge part of what works on LinkedIn is to actually engage with others. Go in the comments, send some DMs, not to say buy my stuff, to say, hey, I saw that you engaged with that. Is there any additional info I can send you? Be in a position yourself as someone who brings value first, who gives first, rather than trying to take, and engage on others, make other people shine so they will come back to you and make you shine as well.
Absolutely.
Tell me how you move from that, Jasmine, to a sales conversation, a second call, an SOW, a letter of engagement. How do you move from awareness, inbound, to close deals? Can you walk us through that?
It's about, once you're at a point of conversation, don't tell but ask, right? You want to understand what the person feels their needs are, because very often you might be able to help them, but sometimes I'm sure it's the same is true in French and most other languages. Very often when we say something, sometimes in English, I'll say, could you define what you mean by that? Because very often people put a somewhat different meaning in what they're saying, and it may mean something to them. So you might have the key to their issue and problem, but if it's not articulated the same way, they will not hear. So make sure to listen to them, hear them out, and then mirror if you can authentically provide a solution, address their issue, and then build that, understand where you can agree. There is the in sales, there is the band method, right? One of the things is, do they have the authority to agree with you? Do they have the budget? Do they have the authority? Do they have the need and the time? So all of these are factors. So kind of go through that qualification process with them, because if somebody has but no budget, maybe stay on their radar maybe when they have a budget. If they have the need, then it's different. If they do not have the authority, bring in the person with authority. So we all have the most limited resource we all have is time. I mean, think about it. Steve Jobs had billions of dollars, but where is he now? He ran out of time, right, at a very young age. So as an advisor, as a consultant, as a business owner, you want to be helpful, but not waste your time either. So know when to, and then once they agree, then have a very clear agreement, not some kind of complex legalese, but basic English terms. You'd be surprised how that helps the process along. And then thank goodness for DocuSign, get it signed, and then set certain dates and move on. Make sure to get at least half of the payment up front.
Boom. I like that. One of the things that I learned when I was a consultant myself, Jasmine, is there are the hunters and there are the farmers. And it's not good or bad. It's just two different things. Hunters, they like to go after new business. They love the smell of fresh blood in the morning. And farmers are actually the ones making the most money because they are able to take on that initial engagement, over-deliver, and transform it into a multi-layered, multi-years engagements, feeding other teams from their firms, if the firm is big enough. How do you farm? How do you make sure that one engagement, transforms into another and into another and into another?
We have 100% satisfaction. You have to over-deliver in what you promise. Because if you under-deliver, then all the work you've done goes down the drain, right? Put yourself in the shoes of the buyer. We all want a headache-free situation. So when somebody promises something or makes a commitment, you better deliver. And I live and die by that. And you're absolutely right. It allows you to then get better enmeshed into the organization because you become a mental shortcut, right? Why do people stereotype? Stereotypes are in a way, mental shortcuts. Some may be wrong, but they create an association. So you want to create a positive mental association and shortcut, as in Jasmine delivers results. When Jasmine does the work, it will get done. So that makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, you also be conversational, understand what their needs are, do extra, they will keep coming to you. It's very normal. It's just any leader. If you have a high-performing employee, you're not going to start going after them, right?
Ideally not.
Ideally not. I'm sure there are psychopaths out there that do that. But
maybe out
it's about being rational.
So what do you do in your practice? So 100% satisfaction rate is obviously crazy, and that's good. How do you, is there any tactical things that people can learn from your practice, Jasmine, to replicate in their own so that they can get this 100% satisfaction rate? They can get those re-engagements being like, hey, we solved this, happy, cool. Then we identified, because we solved this, we identified 3 other problems. Let's solve those now. Any tactical things that you can recommend us do?
Sure. First of all, it's about proper communication. You could do an excellent job, but if you don't communicate about what's being done, a lot of the time, and I've had to learn this over time myself, because if something is clear to me, it doesn't mean it's clear to somebody else. Or if something is taking a certain amount of effort, you have to clarify it to them so they have understanding, because otherwise, we're all using mobile phones today and we're all using email, and you press send and it's all fast, and you press text and people think everything happens super fast. Some things do not, right? With AI too, everything is fast. But again, certain things require effort. So you need to be clear about what effort is required, what's entailed. You need to also, if there are challenges, be upfront about them. There is no situation in life when there are no challenges, but when you have a very open conversation and you explain what the challenge is and how you plan to address, you involve the organization or your counterpart in the decision making, but be decisive. Because when I've hired advisors and consultants, I really despise the fact that they cannot come up with a solution, right? Or if they expect me to just do everything, well, then why did I hire you? Have an opinion. So it's about taking a position, and it's about delivering and communicating and knowing what's coming next. Now, the other thing I've learned that sometimes there's a big problem, but again, I always try to divide it into smaller chunks. Under Gallup Strengths, one of my top 5 strengths is futuristic, which means I can see a big project. But over time, I've learned that for me not to intimidate people and not to make it not achievable, I will always say, you know what, let's phase this out. Let's get to this bridge. And then we cross the bridge. Let's do this. So think of smaller chunks. It helps process information much better.
Literally how I built my company. Jasmine, what's your number one challenge right now? What's the nut that you're trying to crack that once you will have cracked, you will take the whole thing to the next level? What would that be for you?
That's a challenging question because I'm constantly looking,
Right?
right? I'm constantly looking. My brain is like efficiency and effectiveness driven. If you look at my Gallup strengths, I'm an achiever. In my top 10, I have a ranger. So I try to find the optimal solution all the time. So that exploration for me is not a one-time thing. It's a daily undertaking. Would we all love to have more hours in a day? Absolutely. And then the other thing is to also have the courage to say no to things that are not delivering. I've been in a situation where I've turned down a client. Actually happened right in December. I flatly just turned down a client, and they were willing, they wanted to pay, but you could sense it's not going to work out. So have the courage to sometimes walk away and have the discernment to make the right steps.
And linking back to one of the things that you mentioned at the very beginning of this interview, being in a position where it's not, life or death would be a bit like over dramatic, but it's not, putting your company at risk or even putting food on the table at risk by saying no to a client to a prospect because you're in a position that you're going to have other leads knocking at your door. It's hard to go out of business when you have like leads knocking at your doors and more than you can handle. So having that loop complete of like getting the leads, having good sales motion, optimizing for retention, and being able to say no to the project that are not going to be a good fit is a good place to be in.
And again, you have to be very discerning because very often something small can turn into something very big, right? So there's a lot of discernment that goes into that decision making. I recall in a corporate setting when at Intertech we were trying to promote a certain type of business and salespeople were not selling it because, let's say, if their average sale amount was 15,000 and this was, say, 600, the salespeople did not want to sell the 600, except the 600 would sometimes lead to $40,000, $80,000 project. Do you see? So, and the way we were able to get everybody's resistance from it, we assigned it to just a couple of salespeople for them to start selling, focus on the $600 and $800 things. But then when they were closing $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 deals in the same line of business, suddenly everybody else was interested.
Amen to that. Jasmine, ladies and gentlemen, Jasmine, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
They should go to strategyarc.com, ARC spelled with a K. They should come to LinkedIn, Jasmine Martirossian. I think I'm the only one with the name. And then they can send me an email, jasmine@strategyarc.com, ARC again spelled with a K. And it's the idea of Noah's Ark. We have solutions for everything to continue to thrive.
We'll put all the links in the description just to make sure. For what I'm concerned, we are now connected on LinkedIn. Jasmine, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you so much, Guillaume. Really appreciated it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time. How was that, Jasmine?